Talk.
Right. Um, All right, on this episode of Bare Knuckle Bowker, very excited to be talking with an individual who engaged in what many are understandably calling a bare knuckle classic, and it took place at BYB 35 Albuquerque Brawl on January the 11th when Cody East finished Dylan Rush with that fourth round stoppage. And great having Cody on Bare Knuckle Bowker to talk a bit about that. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. It was quite the fight. Uh, it takes two to tango, bro. He had a lot of heart. I wouldn't be in this situation if he wasn't as tough as he was. I thought I heard him right away. I thought it was over with, and I turned around, look up, and that dude was getting up like freaking like a zombie. I was like, oh, all right. So yeah, it was a good fight by both of us. It took both of us to make that fight happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're putting it kind of modestly almost. Like I said, I feel like that's almost a fight that people will, refer to as a classic from here on out. Was there anything that surprised you in the body of the fight? Like you were talking about almost being surprised in a way by how durable and resilient he was. Was there anything else that surprised you in the Trigon that night?
I was really just surprised about how tough he was. Because of his physique, I knew that he was physically strong. I knew he was athletic. I didn't think he wanted it that much. I don't think he was that tough. Because there's nobody's gonna be tougher than me. I mean, no one's tougher than me, and that guy pushed me to my limits. So I was surprised by his toughness, his durability. He had good power. He was willing to engage in the clinch. He was willing to fight me anywhere. I mean, the spots where I thought I would have the advantage and be able to overwhelm him, I was able to get the best of it, but it was a fight. You know,
Yeah, and it seemed like there was a certain camaraderie. I guess there would have to be after such a throwdown like that. Like I would think the mutual respect would have to be there. Like it seemed like you guys like met up after the fight and maybe crushed a couple beers from what I understand per I believe it was the Jackson Wink Instagram account. But just great to see you guys put on such an incredible fight like that and then to have that, mutual respect and rapport afterwards. It was a great thing to see.
yeah, it was great. I mean, we went and had a steak and a couple beers and laughed about it and just talked about the fight. He showed me some pretty funny pictures of him knocking the hell out of me, and I showed him some pictures of me knocking knocking him around. So we're showing, sharing our free that man. This picture looks like it hurt. Showing the picture of him punching me right in the face. I was like, well, this one looks like I hurt you too. Showed him the picture of me punching him. So, it was just a lot of respect, right? It takes we both took each other to a place where most people will never go in their careers. It was it was it was we went deep together. So I feel like we bonded in a way. We shared that moment together. I mean, I said like he said I feel like we're friends now. I feel like we're more like blood brothers, but we've shared blood and spread blood. We're in it together now. I will always be in your corner cheering for you when you fight from now on. So
And I mean, I feel like this is a question that almost like the answer is immediately identifiable, but thought to put it out there all the same because you were talking about how you guys engaged in a fight and got to the depths of yourself to a point where like most people wouldn't get to that point. And you're someone who's competed in several combat sports like glove boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing. You fought in the UFC as well. Like, was this like your most difficult fight by like a noticeable margin, you would say? I guess like probably people are looking at that because of like the excessive blood and etc. But curious to get your thoughts on that. Like, was this a fight that you, I guess, like got to the depths of yourself more than maybe any of your other previous fights across those combat sports I mentioned?
I think so. I dug deep, but I can go deeper. You mean I didn't quit? I had more left in me. So whoever wants to ride this ride and see how far I can go, I mean, I'm more than willing to do it. Uh, I'll take a break from going. I'd rather have to knock out to the night for a while. But it's good. I guess it's good in a way to know how far you can go, right? To get a good feeling. Like I felt good, and I felt like I was getting stronger as the fight kind of went on. You mean I didn't shy away from it. I kind of understood that I need to get serious in there.
And what did you, I guess, carry over from your previous BYB fight that might have benefited you here? Like, was there an additional familiarity with, competing in a tight space like the Trigon? Was there a certain I guess, familiarity that comes from like, okay, I've done this before. I at least kind of know what to expect relative to what I thought heading into my debut. Like, what differences were there in this second trek to the BYB Trigon as compared to your first fight?
All right, I'm back. I don't know what happened.
Oh yeah, no worries. I had just asked like what I guess major differences you noticed between this second trip into BYB's Mighty Trigon versus your first fight in bare knuckle there.
Um, First time the guy didn't get up when I put him down. You know what I mean? Uh, that's the biggest difference. This guy really wanted it. This guy was prepared. That was the biggest difference, really. You know what I mean? He wasn't willing to quit. And neither was I. So it takes two like that to make a perfect storm, right?
Yeah, it's just so incredible, like you saying a bit before the call had kind of inexplicably dropped there, like talking about just how you still had that much more to give in the fight. Like you were like, and not that I was implying that you were close to quitting, but I'm just speaking to the point of how impressive that would be, to many people, because you really did dig deep. But the fact that there's that additional depth, it's, I don't know, I guess based on that, I mean, conceivably could even have a potentially more exciting fight with someone in bare knuckle if you get the right opponent, as it were. So just kind of a wild thing to consider, especially after a performance like that.
Yeah, no, we can go. I can definitely go deeper. It depends. I don't know how much longer the doctors were going to let it go on my end either. You mean that's kind of why in the fight I was kind of reckless and trying to finish it because I had some pretty good damage. Also, I don't want to lose the doctor stopping it. So in my mind, I'm like, you're either gonna knock me out or I'm gonna knock you out. Like that's the only way it's gonna end. I mean, so this handle it. I don't want the doctor stopping the fight on me. So I'd rather if he wants to beat me, you got to beat me, put me away. But he wasn't able to do that, and I got the job done.
Yeah, and I was seeing that leading into the fight, you were promising that it wouldn't be a CrossFit competition. I think it's safe to say that that didn't play out in the Trigon.
That was nothing like CrossFit. uh, yeah, he made me eat those words. To tell you that much right now. Uh, I ate those words. He was not a CrossFit athlete, dude. That guy was a true warrior, a true bare knuckle, a monster, bro. And all respect to Dalen. I mean, he was tough, dude. But typically all these years of fighting, the guys that are super cut and super physique, and they have that persona about them, they're usually not that tough. They got gym muscles. Those were not gym muscles. Those are real muscles that guy had. They were combat effective. So it was good.
And I guess it's kind of, I'm trying to find a way to phrase this question because you talked about how you got to like show so much of yourself in that fight and everything like that. Like, how much does it mean to you to be able to showcase that, to the world? Because you've obviously had a lot of combat sports experience, as I kind of outlined there, but it just seems like this fight is getting like such an understandable level of like attention and focus around it. Like, how, I guess, meaningful is it to you to be able to like showcase those skills and that heart and durability and put on a performance like that people will be talking about for presumably many years, one would think.
Yeah, it means a lot. I work hard in this sport. I worked hard to be where I'm at, and it's good to. It's all about entertaining people, right? That's my job was to entertain. and I feel like I did that. People are entertained. I got kids, you mean, and someday my kids will be able to show their my grandkids these fights. But man, Grandpa was tough, dude. Like, you mean, I will always be known for this fight, regardless of whatever happens the rest of my career. Like, uh, I'll be locked as having one of the best bare knuckle fights in the history, right? And that's something I can be proud of. You know, and I work as a my job. I'm a CSW. I work like a drug. I work with people overcoming drug rehabilitation, like going through drug addicts. And I use this fight like I talk to my look. This is like life, guys. Like, life is not easy. You're gonna fall. You're gonna be tested. Quitting's easy, but you just gotta keep going and keep going and keep driving through. It's not. It's easy to quit, but just keep fighting through it. And that's why I tell my guys. They go, "You see me? I had many opportunities to quit. I could have stayed on the bench, but I kept going through. And that's how life is. You just gotta keep fighting, and eventually you'll come out victorious, right?"
Well, that's really cool because then you can use that as a source of inspiration for people in other difficult situations, as you outlined there. That's not necessarily related to a fight, and as far as like I'm taking on an opponent, but you very much are in a fight. So cool that you're able to, I guess, showcase that to people, and hopefully it does uplift them in that
Or
kind of regard.
our biggest opponent that we take on is ourselves most of the time. Right? We can all we everybody looks at my fight like, "Oh man, you did so deep." I mean, anybody could do that. Every human on earth, you got to dig within yourself, and you can do it. We all have that ability. We just gotta let it out, man. Let the animal out sometimes. So
And I guess I'm wondering if there was maybe something extra special attached to this kind of performance. Like, obviously, a classic bare knuckle fight, as I had referred to kind of earlier in our conversation, but just with it being localized to New Mexico, it being BYB's, first big event out there, and you have such a history out there, like a multiple time New Mexico State high school wrestling champion, and a lot of additional moments thereafter. So was that a little something extra? Like, did it add to it that this kind of, almost like career defining in a way kind of performance, like in as far as like the quality, did it add an extra something to it because it was in New Mexico and everything?
it was nice to being here, but I'm gonna fight the same wherever I'm at. You mean, I don't want to lose at home. I don't want to lose in no one else's home. I don't want to lose. You mean, and I'm willing to go wherever I got to go to not have that happen. You mean, and I don't want to lose. I worked too hard to lose, and I'm right there on the cusp of attaining my goals. You mean, and a loss at this stage of my career is detrimental. So I'm willing to get bloody and get ugly. You mean, I gave up my modeling career obviously for this sport, so I'm all the way in.
And it seems like those goals are, pursuing BYB championship hardware. Like, is that the primary goal? Do you have other goals, beyond that as well? Just curious to have you maybe expound upon that a bit.
Yeah, my goals as far as fighting, I would like to be the BYB champion at 205 and heavyweight. Those are my goals, and just continue fighting and living my life, and being a good man, raising my kids and showing my kids. I'm a Christian, and I've had a rough life sometimes. I've made some mistakes in my previous life, and I just want to show people that I mean, just because you stumble and you mess up doesn't mean you don't have to stay that person that people label you on. I mean, labels. The good thing about labels, right? You can take them off, and I've been labeled as something I'm not, and I believe I've removed that, and I need a good example in all aspects of my life. Just because I'm a fighter, bare knuckle fighter, doesn't mean I'm a savage and this crazy guy. You mean I get deep that, but I'm a loving man. I'm a family man. I raise my family, and I'm a member of my community here in Albuquerque, and I do a lot for people, and just want to help. I try to raise up our community with us.
Yeah, definitely good goals to have to serve your surrounding community and everything like that. And to your point of like the championship pursuits, I feel like you're in a very interesting kind of spot because you can both vie for cruiserweight and heavyweight gold, but also there's that bridgerweight title in the mix. So it seems like a multitude of options are there for you.
Yeah, it's a multitude of options, and I think there's a Cuban at each weight. So, like I said, I'm about to go to war with Cuba. I mean, they're tough dudes, but if it comes down to who's got the bigger heart, it's gonna be me. So.
Yeah, what do you think about someone like Gustavo Trujillo? I guess even in the vacuum of maybe his most recent performance, because he fought Richie Leak, who was the BKB champion and then unified the titles with emphasis. Like, what are your thoughts on, I guess, just Gustavo Trujillo's last performance, but just what he's been able to do in bare knuckle overall? Because he's, such a powerhouse and very, game of you. Like, it shows where you're at that you're wanting to fight someone like that who's undefeated with all first round stoppages.
Yeah, I think Gustavo's very tough. I mean, like, uh, his last win, that he didn't beat that guy in his prime. That guy was like 65 years old. I mean, not to be talking smack on him, but he was old. He was an older guy. He wasn't. He wasn't in his prime. He was older. I mean, I'm in my prime right now, and I'm ready. I'm ready to give Gustavo a war. You mean, but before that fight happens, I believe I would fight the Cuban crocodile Jordan. He's ranked number one, and I'm ranked number two at Bridgerweight. So that's a fight that I think will happen first, and then once I finish him, then I think Gustavo will be next.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows, like I said, how game you are, and I think your career speaks to that. I mean, you fought Curtis Blaydes in the UFC, so definitely a lot of, credentialed, pedigreed names on your resume and everything like that.
Yeah, no, I'll fight anybody. You mean, and the difference is I've always said I would fight anybody, but I'm at a point where in my career where I could beat anybody. I got to show my heart in this fight, how good my heart is, but I didn't show how good I am as a fighter. This was just all about heart. This was a backyard fight, man. This was just two guys getting after it. But I'm much more technical than that. I'm much smarter than that. I can fight. I'm much better the fighter than what I showed. But I guess there's a time and place for everything, right? With my cut and stuff, I kind of told myself, all right, technique's out the window. You don't have time to play around. Let's get it on and get this fight done with. And it worked out to my benefit. But I can fight much slicker than that, and I plan on it with Gustavo and those guys. I can't get hit like that. I've got to be a little bit smarter and box better. So I'm not relying on just my heart. I know it's there when I need it, but I've been doing this for a long time, man, and I can fight.
Yeah, and it seems like so many people were just riveted and impressed by that fight, like even beyond like the fans in attendance, like big names, Cain Velasquez and Holly Holm out at that event. Like it seemed like there was a lot of enjoyment taken from that fight. Did you really have any interactions with either Cain Velasquez or Holly Holm at any point during all of the chaos you got up to at the event?
Yeah, I'm good friends with Holly. I see her all the time here at the gym. We talked to it briefly after the fight, and she just said how it was an amazing fight, and that's typical Cody East style. I mean, that's what I'm known for. I just had someone that could match my pace, so it was different. Talked to Caden. He said takes a different person to fight bare knuckle like that. I mean, that's not your average person that will fight bare knuckle in that kind of fight. So yeah, I talked to them. They enjoyed the fight. I think everybody that watched the fight enjoyed it, and yeah, I'm proud of that.
Yeah, and I was going to tie that into a reference to another person that you have some history of interacting with inside the gym, but you talk about people watching it and having that excitement. I'm sure you've caught wind at this point of the fact that on Joe Rogan's show that he was checking out your fight, and everyone that was on the show at that juncture was really just talking about the visceral nature of it and the excitement and everything like that. Like, what were your thoughts seeing Joe Rogan talk about your fight on his show?
I thought it was cool. I mean, I'm a fan of Joe Rogan's show. I like to watch his podcast. So I thought it was cool. You mean it's me and my opponent are both getting some recognition for what we did. You mean and it's cool, man. People are seeing us. People are seeing all around the world what we did, and it helped both our stocks grow a little bit. So yeah, my manager is actually working on me talking to Joe Rogan for going on his podcast. That'd be pretty cool to me because got an interesting life. I've had quite a story I'd like to share with people, and if the opportunity presents, I like to do that. So hopefully it happens.
Well, I mean, it seems like you're in the best position you can be for that at this point. Like, it seems like you have, such momentum and focus on what you're doing right now, which is a great thing. But the thing that I was kind of alluding to before about, training partners and history with people inside the gym, I was also noticing on your Instagram a bit of a training history with the reigning UFC heavyweight champion Jon Jones, and you'd also previously fought on one of his cards. I noticed the UFC 197 event when he fought St. Preux. And I also mentioned the fact you fought Curtis Blaydes before, who's coming off of that fight with the interim champion Tom Aspinall. Like, what are your thoughts on that whole situation with Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall? Like, do you see it taking place in 2025? And just, I guess, what are your thoughts on that general situation there?
Um, it'll take place if John chooses. John doesn't need Aspinall, but I think John does Aspinall. I mean, I think he goes in there and he makes it look simple. Dude, I really believe that. I mean, I think he's the best. I mean, he really is. He's very smart. You've seen Aspinall it was early in his career, but he got manhandled pretty good by a wrestler when he had a loss. And if that guy can do that to you, what could John do to you? You mean? And John's going to attack from various attacks and different things, and he's not going to play Aspinall's game. You mean? When Aspinall wants to strike, John's going to wrestle. When he wants to wrestle, John's going to strike. So I believe John will, if John gets paid what he wants, he'll take that fight, and he'll walk away leaving no doubt. You mean of how good he truly is and the great that he is.
And it's kind of funny because this ties into the Gustavo Trujillo thing a little bit. I'd interviewed him before his last fight, and he also had a bit of a training history with Jon Jones, and he had like a pretty funny, kind of entertaining anecdote from his time working with the current UFC heavyweight champion. Do you have any like go-to training stories with Jon Jones, or like any moments like, peeling back that fourth wall of like getting in work with the individual who many refer to as mixed martial arts greatest of all time?
Yeah, we've been sparring together since 2010, dude. So I've got many memories. Let me see. Jones. One thing he did. Jones is notorious for poking people in the eyes, right? That's not just at practice. That's not just in the fights. That happens at practice too. You mean? So he's poked me in the eye a few times when I was getting the better of the rounds. I mean, he had a way of getting himself back into it, and he doesn't like to lose in sparring either. I mean, he'd always find a way to bring himself back into it, whether it comes to an accidental eye poke or accidental groin shot, or I mean, he doesn't like to lose. So me and him have been separated several times at practice. There's sparring and then there's fighting. I'm not someone that's gonna back down to anybody. So I like John, I respect John, and likewise. But when me and him spar, I'm not one of the guys that are gonna back down. I mean, if you're gonna do something, then I'm gonna fight you until the coaches break it up.
Yeah, just maybe you'd bring like a pair of goggles, maybe, or like get a big cup going, like a steel cup or something like that. That kind of
Yeah,
vibe, based on what you said.
yeah, pair of goggles and a cup. Yeah, they're necessary for sure. Um, I remember one time my little brother, John hit my brother with like a low blow in practice, and my brother took a recovery time. He walked straight to John, just hit him with an uppercut right in the balls, dude. Like blatantly, it wasn't hitting. It was like he's like, "Oh, sorry, bro, my bad, my bad." But it was kind of like he did it to him on purpose. He got him back with it. So some interesting things that I've seen with Jones here, but he's helped me get better in my career also, and I've helped him. I mean, so
Yeah, I know you're just being playful and having fun. Like, it seems like it would be like a net positive kind of relationship based on how you're talking about it. Like, I got the vibe it was more playful a little bit.
yeah, it's playful, but it's serious too. Because I don't like to lose. He don't like to lose. So respect, but yeah, we've had some wars here in the gym, And like they say, I've seen Jones hand it to many heavyweights over the years when he was a 205 pounder. I mean, he's been able to do that for his whole career. Man, he didn't have to get so big as he did. He could have done everything he did now at the weight he was. You mean? So yeah, I think he'll fight Aspinall and go down as the greatest heavyweight. Of course, it's heavyweight, right? It only takes one punch, so it's a dangerous fight.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how all of that plays out, though. But I guess kind of pivoting back to Holly Holm, because I thought it was interesting that she had done a bit of an interview with Ariel Helwani. Like, a lot of it was focused on her leaving the UFC and pursuing some other options and whatnot. And the topic of bare knuckle got brought up, and she didn't necessarily describe it as like it would be like the immediate next step per se, but she also didn't seem against it. Like, how do you think Holly Holm would fare in the world of bare knuckle, considering how, decorated she is with UFC titles and several boxing titles to her credit?
Man, I think Holly would be putting on some clinics in bare knuckle. Uh, I think she'd be awesome there. I'd like to see her fight Freya, the bare knuckle champion for BKFC. I like to see her put that girl in check a little bit. Uh, we'll see what comes of it. I mean, I would love to see that. I mean, anywhere she goes, I believe she's going to be successful. She's got a big heart too. She trains hard, and she still wants it, right? So let's see what she chooses. Whatever she chooses to do will be good. But I do believe, before it's all said and done, that Holly will have a bare knuckle fight.
I did kind of get that vibe too, hearing how she was talking about it. Like I said, maybe not the next step per se, but I think it's a step that might be taken. So just interesting times in combat sports. And when I was doing my research on you, just I guess in a similar vein, it did kind of get me thinking about just like some former sparring partners of yours that, could potentially cross over. Because it seems like from what I can tell, you've worked with so many great fighters. Like obviously Jones was mentioned, but I was seeing guys like Sergey Haratonov and Alistair Overeem in the mix. Like out of some of your previous like heavyweight sparring partners and stuff like that, like who do you think would really thrive in the world of bare knuckle boxing and all that?
I think Sergey, of course. I think Andre Orlowski. He's getting older. He's getting a little bit older now, but still, he's tough. Let me see. Maybe if what's called came back, he did pretty tough. Old Travis Brown. Travis could make a good run in bare knuckle boxing as long as he is, and I mean he could have a good career there. So all those guys, really, right? Whoever wants it can do it. I mean, it just depends. Not too many people are lining up to get in there and put on the kind of fight that I had, right? You see a fight like that, it makes you think twice about like, God, do I really want to do bare knuckle? So
I guess to that point, that kind of got me thinking, like, how do you even go about celebrating a win like this? Like, it seemed like you had, a couple beers with your opponent and stuff like that. So it seemed like that was part of it. But how do you, I guess, like, is it about celebrating? Is it like unwinding and recovering more so after such a physical effort like that? Like, what, I guess, have you been doing in the subsequent days since securing that big win?
uh, I went to church, gave glory to God. You mean? Spent time with my kids, and went back to work. I mean, life don't stop for nobody, man. It's the fight's over. I won, thank God. But I'm just when I get home, I'm napping, dude. I feel like an old man. Like someone's talking to me, and I'll wake up like, oh, what happened? I guess I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted, dude. It took a lot out of me. I guess the recovery too probably makes you tired. I'm guessing, but yeah, I celebrate. I don't go out to bars and stuff like that. I mean, I had a beer and a steak with my opponent. Uh, but to me, the celebration is just I took my kids and I bought them some gifts and stuff with my bonus money and did what you're supposed to do, right? Took my kids and got them some rewards and got myself some stuff. And yeah, I'm just staying home working to get off work, play a couple of video games, play some Fortnite, and then take a nap.
Well, I mean, you deserve whatever kind of recovery or fun, is represented to you in the fallout of a fight like that. So just really want to, let you get back to that and just, enjoying the, fruits of your labor and just other, facets of your life. I mean, it seems like you pretty much got right back to work and just your usual routine anyway, large in part. But just to say, I appreciate you coming on Bare Knuckle Bowker today to offer some insights. But I also want to let you, enjoy the rest of your day and the fruits of your labor, as I said. So I figured I'd give you the floor, Cody, if there was a final thought you wanted to add as we're kind of wrapping things up here, man.
Final thought would be I want to thank God for this opportunity to put me where I'm at. My kids, I love you guys. My wife, and everybody out there, thank you for the support. And anybody that's going through trials and stuff, just don't give up on yourself. I mean, if you see yourself being a fighter, keep chasing that dream, and it could happen. I mean, it happened to me. People thought I was done with things, and I kept pursuing. Look where I'm at now. I'm on top of the world right now. A lot of doors opened up for me, right? I'm 36 years old and I'm old. I'm getting old, but it seems like right now I'm on a high end of my career. A lot of doors are open, so it's never too late to chase your dreams, right, and catch them. So keep doing what everybody's keep doing what you love, and everybody stay blessed. Really,
Yeah, I mean, it was a great performance. The fact that it was one of the most talked about, if not like the most talked about takeaways from an event that also, or rather a weekend that also had a UFC event. I think it speaks volumes and just, again, really appreciate you coming on and giving great insights after that Dylan Rush fight. I was actually just rewatching it again a bit before we were talking because it was so quality. And if
dude,
anyone
I
who's
watched I watched some highlights of it, and it's weird. Like you forget that that's you in the fight. You mean I'm like watching this fight, like God dang, these guys are crazy. I'm like, that's me. Like you forget those moments. Like you try to think, like where was I at? Like in the fight, you think like what was I thinking during this time? It's just fighting is just so surreal sometimes, you know. To go through that, and then I watch it, like man, dude, that was crazy. Oh, that was me. Yeah, I did that. So it's cool.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It does make sense that if you're in the heat of something like that, there would be some moments that you end up forgetting, but you generated an unforgettable moment for fans of this sport. And again, thanks so much for coming on Bare Knuckle Bowker. You have a good rest of your day, Cody, and looking forward
Yes,
to
sir.
whenever your next fight is, man.
Thank you, man. You stay blessed. I appreciate the time.